Let's do the Buttigieg audio, because Buttigieg was also Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who isn't a mayor anymore, actually, right?
Yeah. Ex-mayor.
Right. Ex-mayor Pete Buttigieg. Ex-South Bend mayor.
Ex-McKinsey Pete Buttigieg.
Ex-McKinsey, yeah.
Ex-Naval Intelligence.
Ex-Naval Intelligence, right, yes. So Pete Buttigieg, it was his turn to talk to the New York Times. And, you've probably seen the screenshots going around of the various different, or even you read the whole interviews yourself, the one where New York Times spoke to Bernie and wanted to know the hard-hitting truth about his previous crushes when he was a child or something like that. And
cancel culture.
Cancel culture, that was another. And Bernie
hot topic.
Did not know what cancel culture is, which makes me respect the man even more.
Also, he doesn't have any apps in his phone.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. Why would he need apps?
I don't want Bernie to have apps in his phone, honestly.
Right. I'm more of a mobile web guy.
The browser's fine.
The browser's fine, right.
I just check /politics every morning.
Right. Who needs the apps? So let's play this. So Pete Buttigieg had his New York Times interview, and did they release a video version of all of them?
I didn't see one of Bernie, at least. I would like to see them ask him about cancel culture.
Yes.
I haven't seen that video yet.
He says, what was he says, like,
help me out. I don't know.
Give me a little bit of a hint.
No idea.
So let's hear this Buttigieg clip.
You have been on the front lines of corporate downsizing. You've been on the front lines of corporate price fixing. You've been on the front lines of our misadventures.
I'm sorry,
of our misadventures in foreign policy. You've had direct experience of many of the things that make a lot of young people very angry about the way that this country is operating right now. You don't seem to embody that anger.
So the proposition that I've been on the front lines of corporate price fixing is just to get that out of the way.
You worked for a company that was fixing bread prices.
No, I worked for a consulting company that had a client that may have been involved in fixing, or what was apparently in a scandal. I was not aware of the Canadian bread pricing scandal until last night.
But do you feel the anger that many young people feel about the state of...
Yeah, of course, because it destroyed my city. I grew up surrounded by crumbling factories and empty...
I thought, what do I need to put on my resume to get the hell out of here?
Right.
houses. My city lost 30,000 of its 130,000 people, largely before I was born. So I'm under no illusions about the problems that are present in American capitalism generally, and were unleashed beginning with the Reagan era specifically. And while I may not be as emotive sometimes about my sense of anger or frustration or injustice, I would not be doing any of this if I were not propelled by a level of passion.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
He grew up in a college, by the way.
I mean,
his dad was a Gramsci scholar. He's not exactly the son of a laid-off iron worker.
Right. I mean, his whole entire, everything on his resume seems so perfectly planned that to bring him to this point in his life where he's running for president. I mean, this is a guy who... I mean, the funny thing about him bringing up his city is that wasn't he involved in people in the minority areas, majority areas of South Bend losing their homes because, yeah.
Not to mention the police department.
Do we have this Vice thing?
Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay, so he basically admitted that the price fixing bread scandal was real.
Right.
Without sort of putting it that way, while you're looking that up, God, I'm having a tough time remembering what I'm trying to bring up without the regular hosts here today. Go on.
Where'd it go?
In his memoir, Buttigieg wrote, "I was learning about the nature of data. By manipulating millions of data points, I could weave stories about possible futures and gather insights into which ideas were good or bad. I could simulate millions of shoppers going up and down the aisles of thousands of stores."
Like the simulation that he's talking about is literally just his imagination.
Right.
This is what you get paid $200,000 a year for.
Right, but the idea that he would just be just a cog in the machine at McKinsey. I mean, the guy guy was hired very specifically because of his talents. I mean, he wasn't brought in for this high-paying McKinsey gig because he was just like there to crunch numbers and not have any sort of give some sort of analysis that actually makes them affect how they go about doing things. Like, he clearly did it. He keeps portraying it as, listen, they gave me spreadsheets and I put in numbers and blah 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 blah.
I used my imagination.
But you would not hire someone with his background for that, because it's pointless. You hire someone like a Buttigieg because you want him to make these decisions for you with his when he does his analyzing and whatever with his spreadsheets. That's when he gives the proclamation of, hey, we should do this or we should do that.
I mean, he was like to counter that. I mean, he was like 25 years old or something. He wasn't like the guy making the decisions.
Oh, right,
he was
right.
Working on these projects.
He wasn't like the
he
boss.
Was of a mindset and working at a place where it was, how can we benefit our shareholders at the expense of workers and consumers? Well, and in that time, according to Canada, after they did this research with bread prices during that time, the price rose 96%, while the price of other groceries rose 45%. So that's more than twice as expensive as other groceries.
That's the McKinsey result. I mean, it's
like when Buttigieg would put together the report, obviously, for a higher up, obviously, to make the decision. He's not the one fixing the bread prices himself.
Yeah.
But unless Buttigieg put together that report that said we should not raise the price of bread, then I mean, it's...
No, it's the banality of evil. So much of the worst violence in this world is carried out with the help of spreadsheets and middle managers, just like Pete Buttigieg. And just because you're only doing spreadsheets, that does not get you off the hook.
Let's not get too caught up on the bread price or fixing thing here, though, because it's interesting to note what he doesn't take offense to right at the beginning of this clip. He says you were at the front lines of corporate downsizing, right?
You have been on the front lines of corporate downsizing. You've been on the front lines of corporate price fixing. You've been on the front lines.
That's when he takes offense. But just the front lines of corporate downsizing, like if you're so aware of the general ills of American capitalism, Pete, what was like, did that change you? What was that like, just saying like, hey, if we cut like 30 of these people, we can have a synergy where we save a lot of... Well, exactly.
Yeah. And there would be a way to play that, too, if he were willing to burn that bridge with the consultancy class, right? He could say, yeah, I was on the front lines of corporate downsizing. I did this job. It sucked. And that's why I'm running for president, to make things better. But he didn't say that, did he?
Yeah, he could be the McKinsey version of Wendell Potter.